Yes, guys, before we crack on with today's video, I want to let you know that we have got GBFC memberships available now. There are 3 tiers. It's been just emojis before on live streams, which is a little bit dull, but early access to the podcast will be available for the base tier of the GBFC Ultra membership. And the second one, I'm going to be doing an individualized piece of content for you lot on the members tab, so make sure you check it out if you are interested in supporting the channel further. It does go a long way. I've also got a Club World Cup tour to pay for Chelsea this summer, so I'm trying to raise the funds for it. That's a way that you guys can support. So if you're interested, check it out. Let's get into the video. Today, we're talking about something that is quite alarming, quite scary, with some of the names being touted to leave Chelsea. But I think more so than anything else, I want to bring it back to what I said on the channel a few weeks ago, where I spoke about there being the need for a rebuild again this summer at Chelsea Football Club. At the moment, we're in jeopardy. We don't know if we're going to actually attain Champions League football next season. Having watched Aston Villa in the Champions League last night, if you want to see my thoughts on that game with a tactical breakdown, there's a link to the latest More GBFC video in the description where I do that. But I'm a bit concerned. You've got Newcastle, buoyed after winning a trophy, winning games of football, destroying Man United. Aston Villa, Unai Emery, tactician, master. And they're going to treat every game between now and the end of the season like a final. So Chelsea Football Club, not only are we going to be likely at this point, I'm going to say, there's still a chance we can do it. But I think it doesn't look good to finish in the Champions League, which not only is obviously not exciting for the fans. We don't want to witness the Conference League again or probably Europa League football next season. I still don't want it. I want to be back at the elite table. And it hurts watching Aston Villa, Arsenal in these big matches and knowing that it isn't us and it might not even be us. But the issue with that is also financial. Chelsea Football Club have taken out over £1 billion worth of debt, or as in the ownership have, Blue Co, and that's got to be paid back. There's big interest that will need to be paid back on those loans. And I think a lot of people probably won't care so much about the financial side of things until they see that it inhibits us from signing players, because transfers give you a big dopamine hit. And as soon as that stops, then people will be like, oh, but why has that happened? Well, it's happened because we're in a load of debt and we're not getting the main revenue that comes when you get Champions League football. So if we take a look at this here, this is mad. Chelsea are prepared to sell as many as 17 players this summer to try and raise 500 million euros. Among the names available for transfer are Reece James, Wesley Fofana, Noni Madueke, Mudryk and Christopher Nkunku. First of all, I want to talk and focus about Chelsea's captain, Reece James. Right now, I can understand what people are saying. If they say we're trying to manage Reece and it's great management and we don't want him to keep getting injured again. Based on history, seeing Reece James come back from injury quite often results in another head-in-hands moment and another injury for Reece James. At the same time, if you're Reece and you're feeling fit right now, I don't know, nobody knows if Reece James is actually as fit as he looks. Because if I'm looking at Reece James's performances, whether it is as a defensive midfielder or a right back, I'm looking at a player that probably hasn't looked this sharp and hasn't looked this fit for many years. Since we won the Champions League, I would say. So for Reece James to not be featuring in must-win matches for Chelsea, but it's all right, though. We'll send him out there on a Thursday night. You're either fit enough to play 90 minutes or you're not. And for me, it's not necessarily, well, the Conference League isn't as intense. If Reece James is only getting minutes in that competition, what does that potentially tell you? It might be telling you that Maresca is pretty sure that he's going to keep his job next season and the club are going to try and force Reece James out. It could also be that Reece James has had enough. He has been here when Chelsea were ran by Roman Abramovich, and Reece James might be like, you know what, I've had enough of this. I don't think so. I think Reece James is proper Chelsea through and through. He's been here his whole life. I don't want to believe this. I don't want to believe that Chelsea might even consider and entertain selling our captain. It would be a disaster. Reece James, if he is fit, in my opinion, there is no better right back. There is no right back I'd rather have in world football at right back if Reece James is fit. But instead of that, this season, we're talking about a Chelsea manager that sees him as a defensive midfielder. And like I said earlier, I can acknowledge this whole, let's protect him, we don't want to rush everything, but like, how many games is it now since Reece was last out? 17, 18? Like, if he's fit and he can play on a Thursday, it means he can play in the Premier League. So I wouldn't be surprised if Reece James is part of some kind of summer exodus plan here at Chelsea. You know why? Because it's pure profit on the books of the club. It is a really nice green arrow in the finances if you sell Reece James. I think it would be criminal. I think right now, as a fan, I'm trying to hold on to like any kind of feeling about like recognising Chelsea for the Chelsea that I love, for the Chelsea that I will always love, but still, Reece James is part of that identity. I do not want to see him go at all this summer. Wesley Fofana. Let's talk about him, shall we? Because Wesley Fofana, I think, is a good defender, but he's never fit. And sometimes you've got to draw the line, understand what you're working with, what you're dealing with. And if Chelsea can sell Wesley Fofana, I think we should. Because I think we should be looking at signing a defender like a Mark Gurhey, who's going to stay fit for the majority of the time. Touch wood when I say that, because you never know. Players can come to Chelsea and then all of a sudden they become injury prone, right? But Wesley Fofana can't stay fit. And we have seen it again too often. Similar to what we saw with Reece. Wesley comes back, then he goes out again. So much up in the air about, oh, I'm out of the whole season. No, I'm not out for the whole season. It's just a mess. It's an absolute mess the way that we've been hearing things all season long under Maresca and throughout the PR that is put out there on the internet. Noni Madueke. He's our highest performing goal and assist winger this season. But still, we might look to sell him. Why? Because we bought him in for £35 million on an amortised contract and his value has likely increased. So if his value has increased, doesn't matter how important he is to the manager or what he's contributing to the team, he'll be sold. It's as simple as that, guys. It doesn't matter. Andre Santos, we signed him for what, 15 million? Having a killer season at Strasbourg. I want to see him at Chelsea next season. Do you? I'm sure the answer to that is yes. I don't think it matters. I think we'll sell those players too. Mudryk. I mean, this is a mess in general, isn't it? B sample. Takes about 10 days normally to know the results of that, but we've got to wait 4.5 months. And I'm pretty sure the reason for that is Chelsea Football Club don't want to be seen in any kind of negative light, so we won't address the fact that Mudryk is going to have a chunky ban from football because it doesn't look good, does it? Chelsea have bought another really young player, and I said this, well, I didn't say this, but Johnny and Eunice and I yesterday on Johnny's channel, we're talking about how he's taking performance-enhancing drugs. Well, it didn't quite enhance his performance, did it? I'm stealing that one. I thought it was brilliant because it's true. But Mudryk, again, another player that had so much promise. Can Chelsea get any money for him if he's going to be banned? Probably not. It's embarrassing. Christopher Nkunku, another player that we know has to leave this summer. Totally misprofiled. Hasn't been treated well at Chelsea. But at the same time, the effort when he does play now, I don't really care. I'm not going to protect him anymore and be like, well, I feel sorry for him a little bit. I think it's been difficult for Nkunku. No, when he's actually out there on the pitch, whether you're a 9 or not, mate, you need to put in more effort. I thought he did that the other day, but still, Chelsea are in a position here where we're talking about these players that are written on this tweet here, but literally, we are going to have to rebuild again. Because if you sell 17 players to raise this 500 million euros, which is probably because we need to financially to be able to be complicit with the rules if we don't make the Champions League, it's going to be a huge financial downfall and something that the club have been relying on. Yet because we've got a manager that keeps changing everything, doesn't take Brentford seriously, can't coach a win against Ipswich, or maybe people say he coached a win. Nonsense. You didn't win, did you? So we've dropped 4 points. If we'd have got those 4 points, we'd be third right now. Different story. Totally different narrative. But the reality is this. Chelsea, we have thrown points away against the teams that we should be beating, and now we have got our backs against the wall. We have got an uphill battle, a climb, if we are going to attain Champions League football. So this summer, it's a rebuild, whether it's 500 million euro of sales or 250 to facilitate signings coming in. The signings coming in will be dictated by whether we get Champions League football, or they've got no benefit to Champions League football or not. Maybe it doesn't matter because we're going to be looking at lower caliber players, which means we're probably going to struggle to get Champions League again next year. If you start to sell players like Madueke, who has been here now for a couple of seasons and is improving. I wouldn't say he's setting the world alight, but he's certainly improving. You start selling him again, and what do you have then? Another season where players like Esteval are going to be so heavily relied on from Brazil, but yet he doesn't even get into a dysfunctional Brazil senior team yet. That's important to recognise. Yes, he's great. Looks exciting. Looks talented. But the Premier League is a different ballgame, mate. You can't expect Esteval to come in here next season and even, for me, replicate what Noni's done this year. So you're going to sell Noni, are you? Brilliant. Okay, that's another season with less goals and assists potentially from an Esteval. All of this is hypothetical, of course. But Chelsea have got to be very careful here. There's rebuilding, and then there's ripping it all up and starting again. And I think there are certain players right now, even if I don't think compared to the Chelsea of old, they might not be as good as what we've had in the past. Another season without Champions League and another season with whoever it is as the boss with a completely different team to try and knead together again. What is this mess that we're in? What is this? And I understand we got to sell players. I get that. We should sell players. There's a lot of players that ain't good enough. But it's got to be the likes of your Joao Felixes that should never have been bought in the first place. We've got to tidy that mess up. Sterling needs to be gone because he's on massive wages. We finally need to find a permanent home for Ben Chilwell. And yes, we've got the wage bill down significantly. Well done. But that is with quality players not being there. Do you know what I mean? And if you don't have the quality, you don't get the top honours. We're not competing for trophies. Knocked out of both domestic cups feebly this season. Not in a title race. Where we were for a little bit, for like a week. So we've got what we deserve, really, haven't we? I think as much as, again, this does come across as very negative, I'm being realistic, guys. I feel like that some of these things, it's not about opinions anymore. It's about the straight, cold, hard facts about where Chelsea are and what this means. We might sell up to 17 players. Read that again. 17 players. 500 million we're trying to raise. Mental. Julian Alvarez is pushing for Atletico Madrid to make a bid to sign one of his closest friends and Chelsea midfielder Enzo Fernandez. I could see this happening, I'm not going to lie. But I also think Chelsea would probably be more likely to sell Santos because of the profit margins that would be available for doing that deal. The final story that I want to discuss today, Liverpool, Chelsea, Arsenal, Newcastle and Spurs have all made contact with Dean Howson's camp. It is conceivable a deal is pre-agreed before the transfer window opens. Liverpool and Chelsea have Howson, particularly high in their thinking. If I was Dean Howson, right, I'm probably going to Liverpool, champions. Apparently they've got a big summer coming. Van Dijk's going to stay. Do I think that matters? Not really. He's not even 20 years old yet. I think Van Dijk is not going to be there at the top for very long. I think Dean Howson is already a top quality defender. We saw another great performance from him for Bournemouth on Monday. So, yes, he would get into the Chelsea 11 right now as well. But I think if you've got the choice of all of those clubs, right, you're probably picking Liverpool. I don't think you pick Arsenal because Saliba and Gabriel are there. And I think they've also got good backup options there too. But maybe Gabriel or Saliba might leave. Maybe Real Madrid this summer going to come knocking for one of them. Dean Howson and Chelsea, I fully back this deal. I think he is a top defender. I think he is the kind of caliber that you can buy youngsters within that caliber, within that bracket, because he's already proved it in the Premier League. If this was a centre-back that had been playing at his level but in a different league this season, I wouldn't want that to be what Chelsea are going for. I'd be strongly advocating going out to sign Mark Guehi. But if we're gonna rebuild again, which it looks like, based on what we've spoken about in this video, we're gonna have to. Maybe we need two centre-backs this summer. Guehi and Howson. I think that's good. That would be decent business for Chelsea. But if I was him, Liverpool are there. Look at the teams. Newcastle, Arsenal, like so much further ahead of us. They really are. And yes, Newcastle are only, 2 points ahead of Chelsea? But look at the stable progress they're making, right? First trophy. They're getting better. They've not spent stupid money. They've still not been like on the verge of breaking the rules and having to sell all their assets to do so. Do you know what I mean? There's a big difference, guys. There really is. And it isn't just about, oh, well, we're still there, Benson. We're still very close to the Champions League. What are you on about? It's the bigger picture. It's the bigger picture of what has accumulated to get us to this point where we have to sell hotels. We have to sell probably coming up the training ground. There's so many things. Anyway, thoughts in the comments down below. Preview for Legia Warsaw at home. Going to upload it tomorrow because I think the Chelsea news at the moment is a bit more pressing than a build-up to a game where surely we're through to the semi-finals. But yeah, tomorrow, big day. Match day, preview, live stream, you name it. Check out more GBFC, link down below. As we said at the start of the video as well, GBFC memberships are there now. We've got 3 tiers, extra content for those of you that do want to invest a little bit into the channel, I guess. I'm going to be honest and authentic about when I say this. It does help me out if you guys are joining. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you all later.